If you're able to tolerate the isolation, well, go you, carry on. But if you've reached that point, and until you've reached that point where you cannot tolerate it any longer, then I believe you're in that position now where you have the willpower to break the cycle. There's some very negative effects of prolonged isolation, okay? So I want to touch on that first because some of you might actually be experiencing some of these effects of isolation and you're not even aware of the detrimental damage that it's doing to you. And then from that, I want to elaborate on ways to break that cycle, okay? So firstly, I just want to cover 3 primary areas that I've identified as being a negative effect of prolonged isolation. And we're talking social, physical, and financial. Social, we're talking about loss of social skill. Like I said earlier, people can be a lot more abrasive and a lot more forthright online than they would if they were with the person face to face. If you're spending more time in isolation and online and you're developing those abrasive and harsh behavioral patterns, when you're then face to face with people, you'll naturally default to that mode. And now suddenly you're not as attractive and as appealing as you were maybe pre these new habits that have formed, okay? So then you become more and more disconnected from the face-to-face connections, only enhancing and making bigger then isolation. Because and I know for some people, the fear of stepping out of, the confines of home and being behind the screen screams so loud that even the thought of attempting to be in the room with another person or persons is just too much to handle. And then again, this whole pattern, right, of isolation continues to fester. The second on my list is the physical effects. We're talking lack of exercise. This has really become a major thing, okay? Because we spend so much time, whether we're working from home or not, and then, we've picked the kids up from school, we come home, we do dinner, and then we all settle down to either watch a show or go back online again. That discipline and that habit, the healthy habit of being out and about, going to the gym and working out and keeping our bodies healthy is now a thing of the past. You're sitting down and watching your favorite show. Well, what comes with that show? Of course, it's food, so we'll sit and we're not going to, binge on spinach. Exactly. It's the comfort foods that we go for. We're going to be ordering online, Uber Eats, pizzas, the pastas, the chocolates, the ice creams, the things that we know are just not healthy. So obviously there's that, physical impact. And then of course the financial, because now we're spending at the click of a button every 5 minutes whenever we want. So budget's out the window. But then here's the challenge. We're starting to gain weight. We're becoming less and less healthy. Our mental health is now impacted. Okay, so now this is where we end up in what I call the secondary stage of prolonged isolation and the effects thereof, the impact on our mental and emotional health. So we now start to see issues like depression creeping in, anxiety, which I've experienced for myself, suicidal thoughts and tendencies. Now we want to escape this. We want to escape these mental health struggles that we're facing. So it can lead then to substance abuse. So whether it's alcohol, excessive alcohol consumption, prescription meds, drugs even, all of which are designed to simply numb the pain as a form of escape. Okay, I know for me personally, when I was battling with very, very severe anxiety, I couldn't sleep from one night to the next. And so I had to go on to prescription meds just to help me sleep. But what are the effects of prescription meds for a long period of time? And then, of course, the process of coming off them obviously impacts the body. And we're not even talking about chronic conditions. The lack of nutrition and exercise leads to heart pressure, heart disease, and diabetes. And then, of course, the chronic condition induced by the lack of social interaction and broken down relationships. We all know what that is. Heartbreak. What are some practical steps that people can take who have been impacted by isolation? Well, this is where I recommend that you start. First and foremost, delete the concept that isolation is good for you, because it is not. The only reason it was pushed on a global scale was because of a global pandemic. Why hasn't there been this global push to get us all back out there and flourishing? Well, to be honest, there was a lot of money made by you and I being cooped up at home. So do you honestly think, from an economic standpoint, that it makes sense for the world to now start saying to you, go out and grab some fresh air, which is free? How about you go out and feel the soft touch of sand beneath your feet as you listen to the ocean's waves? Oh, wow. Also free. What about soaking up the warmth of the sun? Oh, hang on a minute. Also free. Or going on that mountain hike that you used to do pre-COVID, but haven't dared venture out, All of these are exercises and moments in life that actually revitalize your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being, let alone financial and relational as well. Number 2, you will not change what you can tolerate. If you're able to tolerate the isolation, well, go you, carry on. But if you've reached that point, and until you've reached that point where you cannot tolerate it any longer, then I believe you're in that position now where you have the willpower to break the cycle. If you've got pen and paper, write it down. Otherwise, grab your notes, write this down. And look, these are just suggestions. And if any of you have managed to break that cycle of isolation, then hey, comment below. Give us your feedback. Tell us what's worked for you, all right? Because we're a community and we want to help one another, okay? Okay, so number 1, go and see your doctor. And I'm not meaning a telehealth appointment, okay? I'm meaning you actually have to physically get in the car and go and see him or her. I went to go and see mine. He did a full checkup, and then he put me on a mental health care plan, which leads me to number 2. Get a referral to a psychologist or a counselor. They have the experience and the expertise and the tools to be able to help you break out of this cycle of isolation. Now, I personally had to try out a few psychologists before I felt like I had found the one that was going to work for me. So I encourage you to do the same, okay? Don't feel like you're stuck with this weirdo. All right, make sure you're comfortable. Number 3, curb your time spent online. I know this is a hard one. I know it's extremely, extremely difficult because it is a whole world out there. I get it. But it's really important if you're wanting to break out and start reconnecting with your loved ones again, you're going to need to curb your time online and cut up those credit cards. It's not in the budget. Do not buy it. Stop spending on riffraff and start prioritizing your well-being. Number 5. Go for a short walk. You don't have to talk to anyone. Put your sunglasses on if you have to, okay? Just go for a short walk. Get out of the house. Breathe in the fresh air. Allow the sun to kiss you on the cheeks. And if you're in the snow, allow the cold to tantalize your lips, all right? Number 6, catch up for coffee with a friend that you haven't seen in a while, somebody that you love, someone that is easy to talk to. And you don't even have to talk much initially, okay? You can be honest with this person. Just say, hey, I just want to grab a coffee. You do the talking. I just want to hear everything about your world right now. They'll have a good old waffle. You'll have a good old listen, all right? And the more you do this, I'm telling you now, you'll start to feel reinvigorated again. You'll start to feel like your old self again, all right? And before long, you'll be right back into your everyday life.